Welcome back to the News at 10. Time to go to Abuja now for more stories. And here is Ibrahim Adra. Ibrahim?
That's right, Ladi. Let's begin with some political story. A former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Professor Kingsley Moghalu, has unveiled his plans to contest for the presidency next year. Professor Moghalu says his administration will establish a venture capital fund of 500 billion naira to reflate the economy. The former Apex Band second in command says he would make the health, education and security sectors top priorities if elected as president in the 2019 general elections.
The idea is that to run for the highest office in any land.
Former deputy governor of the Central Bank, family members, supporters and other Nigerians who have come from far and near to witness his declaration to run for the #1 seat in the nation. The man of the moment then mounts the podium to address his audience. He speaks on how unemployment, lack of basic infrastructural facilities have served as a setback to the nation's development. All these, he promised, will be a thing of the past if elected, as he presents himself as the most competent man for the job.
We have no godfathers. We are just ordinary Nigerians who want a future that is very different from the sad reality of broken promises and unfulfilled national potential that has been the lot of the Nigerian people for far too long. But we know that with your support, we can bring about real progress in our country.
Other areas to be given top priority by the aspirant include a 50% representation of women in governance, while health, education, security and foreign policy issues will receive his attention. Also, a 500 billion naira venture capital fund is to be established to serve as a catalyst for economic development.
We will establish an innovation-led economy with intellectual property and commercialization of local innovation as its bedrock. 2, we will establish a venture capital fund with a minimum of 500 billion naira as a public-private partnership to invest in the creation of new businesses by presently unemployed youth in Nigeria.
With barely 11 months to the 2019 general elections, Nigerians hope that these laudable visions outlined by most contestants will be matched with action if elected into office.
Meanwhile, as Nigeria inches closer to another political transition come 2019, former Defense Minister and elder statesman, retired General Theophilus Danjuma, has asked Nigerians to approach the exercise with caution. General Danjuma said this at the 42nd CVL Colloquium held in his honor to mark his 80th birthday in Lagos. The event highlighted the retired general's leadership qualities and service to humanity.
Philanthropy from really the past.
It's the 42nd CVL Leadership Colloquium. The mindset here is to focus on building leadership without title, with the theme Strategic Philanthropy, Tripartite Approach to Growth and Development. In searching for a role model that fits the bill, taking a look at General Theophilus Danjuma's life and times culminating to his 80th birthday sets the tone.
Is we look for men who in some aspect of their life have made impact, whether they had a title or not.
This teaser by Professor Pt.3 sets the motion for the task of finding a leadership committed to development with a risk capacity for a long-term reward.
When you create an economic model that creates patient value, you would find more people that have a heart for social change, but who know that ultimately they will be rewarded, but they might not make crazy money or make their money as quickly as they want.
What the T.Y. Danjuma Foundation has shown us is the potential for high net worth individuals who have made tremendous success either in government or in the private sector, saying that they're going to allocate those resources to transforming society.
The high point of the event is the presentation of the CVL Leadership Award to General T.Y. Danjuma.
1, 2, and 3.
Regarding the forthcoming polls, this is what he has to say.
Keep calm. Keep very calm.
The octogenarian adds his voice to the councils on the need for calm and restraint as Nigeria approaches another election year.
We now rejoin Ladi in our Lagos studios for more on News at 10, including an update on the number of lives lost to Lassa fever in 2018. Ladi.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Indeed, it is a tragedy. About 317 cases of Lassa fever have been confirmed in Nigeria between January and now, with deaths resulting from the disease put at over 50 within the same period. This number crosses the total number of confirmed cases recorded in the whole of last year, with 3 states in Edo, Ondo and Ebonyi states carrying 85% of the burden of Lassa fever cases at the moment. This is according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, which states that it has intensified its response to the outbreak. The Senate is giving heads of ministries, departments and agencies a 1-week deadline to defend their budgets before relevant Senate committees or risk the adoption of their budgets as presented by President Buhari. The upper chamber is given the deadline after the vice chairman of the Appropriations Committee, Senator Sani Ogboji, complains that ministers have refused to defend their budgets before the committees, instead choosing to travel for one official assignment after the other. Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu is suggesting that rather than allow the country to continue to suffer delayed budget passage, the Senate should adopt the budgets presented by President Buhari. At least $2 billion would be needed to revive the Lagos-Kano rail line as part of efforts to boost local and international trade along the northern and southern zones. Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo said this at the maiden edition of the Lagos-Kano Economic and Investment Summit held in Lagos. Professor Osinbajo hinted that the federal government is already in talks with General Electric, which has shown interest in investing in the project to enhance the movement of cargo from Apapa ports to Kano via the rail lines. And from there, we move on to the business news of the day, and here is Anne Wanwodu.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ladi, and welcome to Business News. Barely a week after announcing plans for an initial public offering in Ghana, mobile telecommunications giant, we're talking about MTN, says it will list $5.23 billion worth of its shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and that will happen in July this year. Agency reports indicate that MTN is seeking to raise at least $400 million from the IPO to pay preference shareholders, and it is preparing to file an application to the Securities and Exchange Commission to help launch the offer following approvals from existing investors. In the meantime, the company is planning a roadshow between May and June 2018. It had planned to list its Nigerian unit in 2017 as part of an agreement with the federal government, but delayed the IPO due to market conditions at that time. Nigeria's only listed oil exploration and production company, Seplat, today announced a strong recovery in profitability to $174 million in the fourth quarter of last year. Seplat Petroleum, also listed on the London Stock Exchange, has reported a return from a loss of $85 million last year, while a tax credit to $224 million boosted its profit margin. The oil firm has also posted sales growth of over 900% to $136 million, as undisrupted crude export via Transforcados pipeline resulted in a full-year production of 17.8 barrels per day. Now, the full-year gas production came in at 114 million standard cubic feet of gas per day in the year under review. The Nigerian stock market has ended the last day in the month of February with a strong comeback after recent profit-taking by investors. For details of today's transactions, let's join Layo Adegoke.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Nigeria's stock market recovered over 370 billion naira on the last trading day of February, as positive sentiment swept across the 5 major sectors of the NSE. At the same time, the all-share index shot past the 43,000 level, following a 2.44% surge on the back of price recovery by major market bellwethers. Bargain hunting by investors pushed Cement Company of Northern Nigeria and 30 other equities in the green, while Loadshed trailed the share prices of Courtville and 22 other stocks. Total volume of shares traded in Wednesday's session increased by 133.21 million units against the previous session, while FCMB emerged as the top most actively traded stock for the day. And that's the Stock Market Report. I am Layo Adegoke.
As for U.S. stock markets, they opened higher today following Tuesday's sell-off in the close of trade as investors focus on their attention on Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell's first testimony on Capitol Hill. For more details, let's hear from NASDAQ's Jill Malandrino.
From the NASDAQ market site in Times Square, New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at NASDAQ. U.S. equities closed at session lows on Tuesdays, but selling intensifying at the close, snapping the 3-day win streak for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, while the NASDAQ comp underperformed. Now, it's because of renewed interest rate hike increases. The odds of 4 rates in 2018 rose to 33% from about 20% on Monday, according to some wires, and rising borrowing costs added to new worries after the new Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell testified for the first time in front of Congress about monetary policy. Powell signaled that he will continue to bolster strong growth during the testimony, and lawmakers grilled him on financial regulation, the rollback of the Fed's balance sheet, the effect of the Trump administration tax cuts, and racial discrimination in mortgage lending. Now, Powell's testimony is going to continue through trading today, and traders will be watching to see if lawmakers press him again on the plans that the Fed might have to rejigger financial rules that we have in place, how GOP lawmakers treat him, given their earlier concerns over monetary policy under a Democrat-appointed chair, and his demeanor if he faces hostile questions. From the NASDAQ market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at NASDAQ.
Well, it's a different story for other major world markets. Let's see the numbers for today. Thank you for watching Business News tonight. I wish you a profitable month ahead. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Laddie.
You first. First Bank.
The River State Governor, Nyesom Wike, is promising the people of the state that his administration will continue to utilize its resources for human and economic development of the state. That will come up after the break. In addition to International Olympic Committee reinstates Russia's membership status following a clean bill of health at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. That's in the sports news. Please stay on with us.